Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this insightful webinar on Microsoft Purview Insider Risk Management. My name is Fatma Balala. I'm a product manager on Microsoft Customer Acceleration team, where I focus on driving exceptional customer experience within the Microsoft Purview. My role is to empower our partners, remove roadblocks from our customers, and ensure the voices shape the future of our compliance and security solutions. So your voice matters. My team and I work closely with engineering. We help translate the customer and partner feedback to meaningful product improvement, so our customers get not just a tool, but a trusted solution. I'm excited to have you all here. So, as you can see on the screen, we have the Microsoft Purview suite. We have the three pillars: data security, data governance, and data compliance. Our focus is the insider risk management, which is an integral part of the data security. So insider risk management is a powerful capability within the Microsoft Purview. It's a key part of our data security strategy. It helps organizations detect, manage the risks within their organization. Now, let's go to the question. What exactly is insider risk, and what is insider risk, and is it a genuine threat? The answer is obviously yes. Studies show that 60% of the data breaches are from insiders, whether it's a well-meaning employee who accidentally shared the insensitive data or a disgruntled user unintentionally exfiltrating information. Now, if we look at the screen, we have the definition by Gartner about what insider risk is. Now, we have a user who has access or had access to the company's data, and they maliciously or unintentionally share it share it out of the organization that affects the organization negatively. Now, this is where we have our Microsoft Insider Risk solution. It helps organizations detect, investigate, and act on risky activities. Now, before they turn into real damage, today we'll walk through how the scenario-based policies, machine learning, has been seamlessly integrated with Microsoft 365 to keep you ahead of these threats. So let's dive into this so that we can turn insight into action and risk into resilience. At this point, I'll hand it over to my colleague Harish, who will guide us through the insider risk management workflow and the first part of our new product updates. Once he's done, I'll rejoin. I'll take you through the rest of the rich updates that we've introduced in our solution. Over to you, Harish.
Hey, thanks, Fatma. Hi, everyone. My name is Harish, and I'm a product manager with the customer experience engineering team. My main responsibility involves around educating both customers and partners about insider risk management, which is part of, as you saw earlier, Purview data security pillar. And we address, feature gaps, data blocking customers, right? So here is the agenda. Today, I'm going to begin with the basics of IRM, with the workflow, followed by the recent releases that we did on insider risk management. Yeah, Fatma, you can move to the next slide. So very first thing, before even we move into the workflow of the insider risk management, why is insider risk management in such high demand these days, and why should it be included in the day one agenda when we onboard to Purview along with MIP and DLP that we saw in last 2 days of webinar? So answer is the growing threats within the organization. Then there's a complexity of modern work environments where organizations who are using a vast number of public cloud services and various collaboration tools, making it challenging to monitor and manage data security. Whereas insider risk management helps organization detect and mitigate risk across multiple such environment, ensure comprehensive protection. So given all these factors, it is crucial to include insider risk management as a part of your day one agenda when onboarding to Microsoft Purview, along with MIP DLP, as this ensures that organization can immediately start protecting their sensitive data, build a holistic insider risk program, and leverage some of the advanced signals and indicators from IRM to safeguard against the potential threat. So Let's start with the baseline on the IRM workflow. Sorry, Fatma, can you go back to the previous slide? We'll continue from there. Yeah. So it's important to understand the required permission and whether the audit logs are enabled or not before we start, right? Because with IRM, we handle sensitive data. So the right access or the right amount of access and permission must be granted to the, the admins. We have different RBAC roles, including IRM admin, investigator, analyst, each with different level of access. The quick start page after enabling analytics will provide recommendation on which policies are the most important for your tenant. We captures over 100 signals from devices, office, defender, risky browser activities, multi-cloud, etc., and then configure the right policy to get started. Once users start getting flagged for different alerts, it could be high, medium, or low. It's time to triage these alerts, understand the activities that triages them or that's triggered them, and take action by converting the alerts into the cases for further investigation. Users are usually scored based on the activities that leads to exfiltration. It could be copy to USB, sending bulk email out with an attachment, or some sort of other data leakage. We also have a custom threshold that can be defined by the IRM admin, or we can leverage the default ones, basis on which the alerts are triggered. Yeah, Fatma, next slide. So this is kind of a recap of the previous slide. Once you have your users within the policy scope, and by defining indicators and threshold, you'll start seeing alerts triggered by user activities if they exceed the threshold. Based on the alerts, your IRM admin can decide whether to dismiss it or escalate into a case for further investigation. Once a decision is made, you can involve e-discovery team to hold the data or warn the user, with certain acknowledgement via HR and legal team. Right. So this is an overflow of insider risk management, how to get started from day one, and how to trigger those alerts basis on user activities, and how to triage those cases, and eventually resolve those alerts. Right. Fatma, next slide, please. Now let's start with some of the latest update that recently went to public preview, or those are like available at GA. We'll start with the IRM User Analytics. So User Analytics will cover all your eligible users in the tenant, including users not in scope of any IRM policy. So what we do during the initial rollout, User Analytics will be enabled by default for all the customers who have enabled IRM in their tenant, right? So this will help customer benefit from the additional intelligence right from the start. Customer have an option to disable enable user analytics in their tenant from the insider risk management global settings. But the idea behind enabling user analytics is to share risky behavior of the user with additional purview components like DLP, Defender Entity Page, where the DLP alerts can be triaged, and of course the communication compliance. Use case would be, when an investigating alerts in Defender or a DLP or a communication compliance, those specific admin or analyst automatically gain access to detailed user context from IRM, aiding in better risk assessment, and they get a confidence on how to fix or how to resolve those alerts, right? So it's very easy to turn on the user analytics. If you see on the turn on analytics space is a single checkbox. Once you do that, it starts giving you, those insights from the insider risk management to different services like DLP, communication compliance, and the Defender Entity Page, right? In the next snippet, under insider risk severity in DLP alerts, if you see on the extreme right side, yeah. So on the alert page itself, as soon as you open the alert page, you will see the different insider risk severity, and if you want to go deep dive, you just click on or select one of these alerts and you get a complete insight. This helps, without talking to your IRM team or without even gaining access to your IRM admin console. So this information or the insight will be helpful for admins while triaging DLP related alerts, right? Yeah, Fatma, please, next slide. Similarly, you get insights, as said earlier, from IRM on Defender or XDR console, what we call when you triage it for DLP alerts. And again, then you can go deep dive into user activity, which is the next piece. Similarly, a similar experience with the communication compliance space where analysts can make a better call with confidence to resolve those alerts, right? So this is more about the user analytics, and this is like must be done work on the day one or week one when you start doing IRM. Yeah, Fatma, next slide, please. So the next topic is the personal indicators, the personal email indicators, and this is one of my favorite. So this feature is a continuation to the updates that we announced as a part of exfiltration of business sensitive data to free public domains. We have introduced two new email indicators in addition to the existing email indicators. So if you have worked on insider risk management, we used to have, or we still have, sending email with attachment to an external recipient. So this is the addition to the existing indicator. The first one is sending email with attachment to free public domain that captures external emails going to free public domain, which is defined in the detection group under domains from the global IRM settings. This is a default detection group provided by Microsoft with 152 commonly used domain, right? Something like Gmail, Outlook, Hotmail, etc., etc. Second one is while sending email with attachment to self is an indicator that captures external emails going to free public domain and matches the personal email detection algorithm. This new indicator can be added to policies and generate alerts when the activity matches the criteria. These new indicators can be added to your existing policy, or you can create a new policy which are meant for data type, data leak policies, which of course will generate alerts when the user activities matches the indicators. A quick example, Fatma, next slide, please. So see on the top right side, left side, where it says data exfiltration, we saw two events, send to free public domain and send to self. As soon as you click on those events, you get a complete view of what are those events, and you can check under Activity Explorer. Similarly, if you want to go deep dive into that Activity Explorer, you can expand and you'll see some of those red flags like detection type, the domain that are used, and the type of unallowed public, right? And the snippet 3, if an organization have a specific requirement, they want to use these indicators to focus on specific ask, including specific set or classifiers or file types, or it could be domains. A variant can be created which can be used in data leak and theft policy, right? So this is more about the personal email exfiltration sent to self. And there's a logic behind that. We look for the prefix. Prefix is something like, if I have a email ID like Harish at Microsoft.com, and I have a personal email ID like starting with my last name, but having Harish in between, it will try to look for some of the prefix matching algorithm, and basis on which it will detect those detections. Yep. Fatma, next slide, please. So another feature we announced recently, which went to public preview, is DLP Alert as indicators, right? So this was like commonly asked by many customer since they are already using some of the DLP related policies, but they wanted those insights from DLP into IRM without IRM guy or DLP to share those manually. So when an insider risk management alert is generated for a user, you can quickly determine if the user has any high risk alerts associated with DLP policies in your organization without having to navigate to DLP solution in Microsoft Purview portal. So you can review and evaluate the insider risk management activity associated with specific DLP alerts in a unified view, right? Today, we can have up to 20 DLP policies in DLP indicators, where you can get insights from the DLP with a high alert, that are raised in DLP, right? And again, it's very easy to add these indicators from the global IRM setting, as you saw in the previous page, where you can go to the global IRM settings, like we showed it for personal email indicators and other indicators, and there's a checkbox. You check the box, and then you can add your DLP policies, right? Yep, Fatma, please. Next slide, please. Okay. The next one is alert spotlighting. So alert spotlighting feature we developed to assist IRM admin in prioritizing alerts to be triaged, right? Because every generated alert has a risk score and has a list of activities performed that has a triggers. The alert spotlighting feature uses this information to decide whether an alert can be spotlighted or not. So based on a detailed study of alert triaging pattern, across tenants, we have developed a rule-based algorithm to spotlight alerts that would help admin in prioritizing some of the top alerts, right? So what we have done, we have analyzed some of the historical data, created a list of indicators that has the highest volume of alerts effectiveness. We call them as a list of high confidence insights that you can see on the right side at the bottom. We have also observed that alerts with high severity has a better effectiveness. I'll give you an example. If there are, say, 300 plus alerts generated and the admin is confused when he logs in for the day, which alerts to be triaged. In such a situation, spotlighted alerts would be a good place to start their journey, or the alert journey, I'll say. Or another scenario could be where admin would like to know why a certain alert has to be triaged. The spotlighted alert shows the information via, if you just hover your mouse on the top, you will see giving them a sneak peek without actually looking into the alert. Right. So this is kind of mostly used by some of our customer who gets hundreds of alerts and are unsure about which alerts needs to be trashed first because of their SLAs, etc. So this is the best way of using alert spotlight. You can just click on the top highlighted spotlight and it automatically gets filtered. Right. So that's more about alert spotlight, and more from my end. I will hand over the mic to Fatma, my colleague, and will try to answer some of the questions that are posted or pending. Thanks. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Harish, for setting the stage. Now let's dive into how IRM helps us operationalize risk detection through scenario-based policy templates. Now, when Harish showed you the workflow of IRM, one of the key pillars, and the first pillar, is policy. You have to create a policy for you to get the signals, the triggers, and the activities together. Now, when you look at the screen I'm sharing here, we have two ways of creating the policy. We have the quick policy and the custom policy. Now, the aim of this is to show you what is new, what kind of scenarios have we brought into IRM as new. We have several, we have data theft, data leaks that have always been existing there. The new ones are critical access protection, email exfiltration, and risky AI usage. My focus would be risky AI usage because that's what most companies need right now in the AI time. Now, if I can just expound briefly for people who might have not used this yet, difference between a quick policy and a custom policy. A quick policy is a fast way of creating a policy. Once you turn on your analytics, you have your analytics, it gives you like maybe 10% of your company has exfiltrated data. Then you can click on learn more. I can show you that exactly how that is done. So you click on learn view details, then it gives you details of the data that it has analyzed for you. After that, you can get started. Once you click on get started, this is a predefined template that it has some prerequisites done for you already. So you simply create policy and you have your policy up and ready. So it's a very easy way to start testing IRM, or if you have the analytics ready, you simply click on it and it creates a policy for you. Then maybe you can customize it as you learn on the alerts it gives you. Now, my aim is, apart from differentiating for you what a quick policy is and what a custom policy is to focus on risky AI. So AI really helps us in our day-to-day jobs. It simplifies our work and increases productivity, but it comes with risks. And we know that we have so many versions of AIs out there. We have our security copilot, we have Gemini copilot, we have DeepSeek, and many others. Now, the good news is IRM now detects risky AI behavior. Microsoft Purview, IRM introduces risky AI template that I'm showing right here to feed the signals as you interact with the AI. Now, we have a prerequisite before you activate this signal. You need to install your Microsoft Purview extensions. And I'm going to send you links on the chat, or Harish, you can send that please to them to show you guidelines of how to install and how to go about setting this policy. Now, what does this policy detect? This policy detects your interaction with AI, but not everything. It detects what is sensitive to the company. So as I'm interacting with AI, if my questions to AI are sensitive, I will be blocked, or I will be warned not to answer questions, or AI will reply to me that I cannot reply to this question. Maybe it's blocked or it's beyond my capacity. Now, what if AI responds with sensitive information about your company? Does this policy template help? Yes. So it is both my question and the response of AI that are both flagged to us or to the user, to the admin and the analyst. Now, I just want to show you a few screenshots how you set up the policy and what is the alert experience like. So if I zoom in here, I show you that there are so many triggers. A policy will not give you alerts without it being triggered. So there are so many triggers, but I'm going to focus on this trigger. User browse to a potential risky website or browse to generative AI website. So that is the trigger, but that is not the only trigger. There are so many other triggers. I could be leaving the company. I could have used inappropriate language on my chats. So there are so many other triggers. Now, once I'm setting my policy and I have selected my users, it's recommended to select all users. I reach a point where I'm supposed to select my indicators. Several other indicators, but this is what we're focusing on the risky AI policy. So we can select indicators from the perspective of browsing. We can select indicators from Copilot experience or enterprise AI or other AI. As I told you, what do we look at? What am I asking and what is it responding? Is it everything? No, we focus on what is sensitive or what is defined sensitive in your company. Now, there's something also called sequence detection. Sequence detection is very important because sometimes I don't just directly ask. I can take the document and downgrade the label and then ask about that document, if I have that access, so that Copilot can give me more information on it. So this sequence detection is part of the risky AI policy, and it gives us the sequence of the actions performed. So if I move on and show you what is the admin's alert experience. Now, the first screenshot here is the dashboard of the alerts. What does the alert show us? So here I have filtered on everything that is from the risky AI policy. So it shows us all the users who've interacted with AI and they have any risky interaction. So it depends. It scores it as high, medium, or low. If I double click on one of the names and I look at the Activity Explorer, it gives me more details on how many events happened, what was accessed, and what was mentioned. Then if I move further from Activity Explorer and move to the user activity, we have three options here. We have the general information about the alert, then we have Activity Explorer, then we have user activity. So when I double click on the user activity, it gives me further details on the sequence on everything that happened when I was interacting with AI. Still go back to my point on sensitive issues to your company. So that was all about risky AI. I encourage you to deploy it and to test it out. It doesn't impact anybody who is using AI. It just simply alerts you of anything risky that your users are doing. So moving on to the next item. Now, this next item is more like an addition to this webinar because the webinar is focused on what has been publicly announced. But this is one of our coolest announcements that's recent. It's not yet out, but it's a recent announcement that we are proud of. Now, we have agents. So for those people who've been using IRM, have the frustration of manually triaging the alerts. It's time consuming, it's frustrating. So the agent has, the introduction of the agent will really simplify this. What does the agent do? It analyzes the content and intent based on the chosen parameters. So it replaces the manual triage and statistic filtering. It will really make triaging easy. It will save time and help us be more effective in capturing the risks that our company will face. So this is just a blurb, nothing much on it, although there is a link that Harish can send to you guys. It's just about the blog we've sent out on this particular feature that is coming out soon. Now, next is IRM Defender integration. I can't do justice to this topic because it's a whole 1 hour discussion, but I'm just giving you an overview how IRM is integrated to Defender, helping us to have a better view of our alerts from the different compliance and security solutions. Now, if you look at this on the screen, you have to give permission to IRM to share IRM information to Defender. So you go to the settings, select data sharing. In data sharing, we have two options. We have export alerts to the SIEM service, and we also have the option of sharing user risk details. Initially, it was alerts on a tenant level. Now we can specifically share per user level. So when we say per user level, it gives you information and activities as a comprehensive solution from DLP, from Defender, and from IRM into one platform. It gives you this beautiful view and makes it very easy for the analysts. Now, there is a workflow I've put together here that will help you start with this integration. First, this integration cannot work if you have not set up an IRM policy. So you have to set up an IRM policy. You have to give permission, turn on the data sharing with Defender in the IRM setting. Then after that, you can freely triage the IRM alerts in the Defender and then also take advantage of the advanced hunting tables. Now, the second slide here just shows you the experience of the Defender integration with IRM. So if I zoom into this, my apologies, if I zoom here, so this is everything in the incident and alerts in Defender. So you see the first policies that are not in the red box, they are from DLP. And the next is from IRM. So when I double click on that, it gives me more information on the alert. It gives me more information on the alert and I get details on IRM, on the IRM alert that was sent to Defender. So this is a very cool feature. I encourage you to try it out. Next, multi-cloud indicators. So for some time, IRM has been analyzing and giving us alerts on M365 signals. Anything that falls within the M365 audit logs, we can get alerts related to the activities done by our users. Recently, we introduced the multi-cloud indicators. In other words, we can call them the non-M365 signals. They are not part of the M365 audit logs. What are these? First, I'll tell you what are these, then how it works. So we have Microsoft Fabric. Yes, still a Microsoft product, but it is not part of the M365 portfolio. Next, we have the cloud service indicators. Next, we have the cloud storage indicators. So if I have these systems and I would like to have this comprehensive view of my user activities that are risky to be flagged to me on IRM, I activate this service. But this service, from the benefit it gets you and from the storage it uses, it's as pay as you go model. It's a consumptive model. As I consume, I am charged for it. So how does the billing go? I can still not do justice to this topic. I'm just giving you an overview, but there's an upcoming webinar that will give you more details on how this works. Now, we define the billing process. We have grouped the activities into a processing unit. So once IRM has processed and analyzed 10,000 log lines, then it's considered as one processing unit and you are billed for that one processing unit. So if your processing unit is 0.2, you are billed for 0.2. So it's less than 10,000 lines. Now, this is the experience from IRM. So if I move to IRM settings, I select policy indicators. I can see the cloud storage indicators. I can see cloud service indicators, and I can see Microsoft Fabric indicators. All these three fall under the multi-cloud consumption model. Then once I am creating my policy and I want to use these cloud indicators, it shows me here that I have connected my applications to IRM and it is part of the activities that will be captured in the IRM alerts. Let me move a step further and show you what's the experience of the alert like. So it's just a normal alert like the M365 alerts. So it just shows you exactly what the user did from your other services or storage, cloud storage. So for instance, there was a deletion of a file or a folder from a deleted cloud storage. So this alerts you. So the more you use these features, the more you protect your environment from insider risks. Next, we're moving to the Entra compromise user indicator in IRM. First, I'd like to tell you what Entra is, in case somebody has not interacted with Entra. So Entra is a Microsoft Unified Identity and Access Management Suite. It helps organizations secure access to resources by managing identity, permissions, authentication. Simply, if you've used multi-factor authentication, it comes from Entra. Now, Entra has the capability of analyzing and detecting risk. Now, the risks are grouped into two: sign-in risk and user risk. So I have put in as a list of what a sign-in risk looks like and what a user risk looks like. So basically, user risk is leaked credentials, and sign-in risk represents the probability that given authentication requested isn't made by the authorized user. For those who've used multi-factor authentication, whether within Microsoft products or out of that, sometimes you can get, the notification on the phone to approve a sign-in. So sometimes you can do it without even thinking. Maybe that was not prompted by you and you just click yes. So that is a sign-in risk. And we also have user risk. Somebody impersonates you and signs in with your user credentials. Now, the beauty of IRM now, it has the ability to detect that risk, but we pick the risk from Entra. Now, how do we detect that risk, or how do we go about the settings? First, we have to go to the global settings. IRM is all about settings. You are in control of what you want to see, what you don't want to see. So if I zoom into this, I can see if I select policy indicators, I can select in my alerts, I want to see any user account potentially compromised or any potential risky sign-in activity. Moving further, if I go to the dashboard of the alerts, it shows me that I have a user whose account has been compromised, user compromise risk. So the account has been compromised and IRM picked it from Entra and has flagged it in for us. Now, this is just a double click of that. It just gives you more details. Now, just a few points to note that once this is flagged, it does not impact the overall risk score that is given in the alerts. And not all sign-in and user risk detected by Entra are flagged into IRM. It has to be confirmed that it's really a sign-in risk or a user risk. Now, moving to the next beautiful feature introduced. This was introduced some time back. It's the reporting feature. Most of our customers, as we told you earlier, our role is to pick your feedback as customers, as partners, and to enrich our product for your experience. Now we have reports. There are a few reports that have been published under IRM. We have alert reports, analytic reports, cases, and user activities. So I have clicked on the user activity report, and this is what it shows me. It gives me the details of what the user has been doing, and it gives me the details of the files interacted with, the number of events, all of that. Next, I have clicked on the alerts reports. Now, as a manager or as anybody in management, maybe I don't have time to go and triage alerts, etc. That's not my day job. But I can go into the reports and click and see what is the compliance and security posture of my company. I look at this and I see how many alerts have I gotten, how many are severe, how many are medium, and how many are high, from the reporting dashboard. Next, let me move to the next feature. We have policy scoping. Initially, we had the ability to select users and groups when we're creating a policy. I'm going back to my point. The policy is the pillar of IRM. So as I'm creating my custom policy or even my quick policy, I select users and groups. Now we have the ability to include users and groups and to exclude users and groups. And it doesn't stop there. We also have an adaptive scope. For example, there is a user with a certain permission. It adapts to the permission of the user as you as the policy is scoring the user, it adapts to the user's activities. We have also non-email enabled security groups in users and groups. So initially we didn't have that feature. We could not select non-email enabled security groups, but now we have that feature. Then on adaptive scopes, if you go to your Purview platform and click on it, it tells you that this gives you the ability to define your users and groups with attributes. There's an example here. You can select everybody in HR sitting in the Germany office. So that gives you that extra step to define your users in the policy. Yeah, so this is everything that I have from the new features that we have published recently, and we're expecting more features that are more exciting. And we really appreciate your feedback and your feedback that you give it to us, and we enrich our product. So Emma, over to you, and we can take some questions.
Great, thanks, Fatma. For the first question, it says, can you get reports that show volumes of the different policies created rather than at total volume level across all policies?
Currently, no, but we'll take that feedback into consideration.
Great. And the next question says, how is it possible to determine the analytics and traffic units in Microsoft Azure of Teams DLP based on chats and messages, off course in Microsoft 365 E5 or IP&G add-on?
So if I've understood the question correctly, so how does IRM, can you repeat, sorry, I just want to get it right.
Yes. How is it possible to determine the analytics and traffic units in Microsoft Azure of Teams DLP based on chats and messages, off course in Microsoft 365 E5 or IP&G add-on?
Okay, so how does, let me break it down. How does IRM analyze data? So if we are using only the M365 signals, anybody using any of the M365 products, be it Office, be it SharePoint, be it Teams, we have audit logs of the user's activities. Now, those audit logs are analyzed by IRM. So initially, when you click on, I'll come back to the chat and message point. When you click on analytics, when you select or turn on analytics, IRM gives you a blanket view of the activities that are happening in your environment. So let's take a scenario of exfiltration activities. Exfiltration activities, the number of emails that was sent with attachments or without attachments to users out of your organization. So all that information was obtained from the audit logs. Let's come to the chats and messages. Chats and messages is captured by the communication compliance feature. If I turn on the communication compliance feature, the IRM can capture from the audit logs, it can capture any language that was used, maybe it's offensive or it's threatening, and it flags it as a risk. So I hope I have given justice to that question.
Great. The next question says, are these built-in reports customizable, and have there been any improvements to the ability to export and download reports and insights?
So customizable, no, not at the moment. We'll take that as feedback. And the next question, I cannot answer it now, but we can consider it and answer it in the community portal.
Perfect. The next question says, can I use these features with an E3 license?
Nope, it's an E5 license feature. Everything, okay, including IRM, yeah. You get it as part of your E5 portfolio.
Perfect.
Although you can have a 30-day trial and try them out.
Great. The next question says, are we able to set a block or approval flow if a user, example, a disgruntled employee, is trying to delete a mass volume of data?
Yes, but that is DLP. and adaptive protection. If you use adaptive protection, yes. So when you set your adaptive protection, we have different levels of risk. So the high risk is what you can block the users from doing an action. But it's a combination of DLP can also help you do that more effectively, and adaptive protection.
Perfect. And it looks like one more question just came in. What information can you analyze? User data, name, email, cost center, manager.
I'm assuming it's anonymization that the question is about.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay, so we have one of the things where we take pride in IRM is to anonymize the names. What does this mean? Instead of showing as Peter did this in the alerts, we just show user 123 did this in the alerts. So that anonymizes the names, and it doesn't bring up the emails when we're looking at alerts. It doesn't show you basically nothing about the user. So one thing that Harish mentioned initially is the roles and permissions you have as a user. So when a company is implementing IRM, we decide that this team will analyze the alerts, this team will look at the cases, and this team has this access or that access. So when assuming I'm just an analyst of alerts, I cannot go beyond analyzing the alerts and go to cases. So at that point, if the company has selected the anonymization setting that I cannot see the names, that's it. I cannot see anything about the user. I just know it's user 123 who did this. Now, after I analyze and see that this is really risky, then I escalate this to a case. Now, when you are in the case, you can remove the anonymization so that you can dig deeper, warn the user, or escalate it to e-discovery. Yes. Mimi.
Great. Perfect. And it looks like that covers all of our questions. So they've all been answered either in the chat or verbally. So thank you so much, Fatma and Harish, for being our guests today and for sharing the great information with our community. Also, thank you to the Q&A team who helped us with answering the questions and providing the resourceful information. To all the listeners still on the line, if you're someone who wishes to aid in the protection of the world from cyber threats and desire to have a say in shaping our strategies, blueprints, and recommendations, then we invite you to become part of our security community. Together, we can make a global impact. So join us at aka.ms/securitycommunity. This is also where you'll be notified about the upcoming webinars, events, and other announcements. Also, please take a minute submitting your webinar feedback at aka.ms/security-webinar-feedback. For those of you who may have additional questions on the topic we just covered or other product-related questions, please feel free to raise them on our Microsoft Tech Community discussion space at aka.ms/Azure Purview Community. Thank you all for being part of our community and for joining us on these webinars. We hope to see you next time. Goodbye.